I have a special meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Roughstown Independent School District, Monday, August the 3rd. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Valdemar Torres present.
Eva Orona present.
Hector Lopez present.
Lori Garza present.
And Oscar Lopez present. Now with us at the moment is Mr. Richard Gonzalez and Ms. Berta Roldan. Next item on the agenda is please have a moment of silence. Remember your loved ones and the ones that have gone by us. Remember Imran's mother, Berta's sister, and all of your loved ones. A special meeting. Hopefully that all of the trustees of the Roughstown Independent School District Monday, better health. Monday, and very as hard as you can, so that we can get a review of all this stuff that is going on right now.
Valdemar Torres present.
Eva Orona present. Eva Orona present.
Hector Lopez present. Hector Lopez present.
Lori Garza present. Lori Garza present.
And Oscar Lopez present. Now with us at the moment is Mr. Richard Gonzalez and Ms. Berta Roldan. Amen. We go to item on the agenda is please have a moment of silence. To the flag. Remember your loved ones and the ones that have gone by us. Remember Imran's mother, Berta's sister, and all of your loved ones. Indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. The Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. We go to item number 4, public forum. Do we have anything, sir?
Irma? No questions.
All right. We go to item number 5, informational item, sir.
Trustees, this evening I wanted to show you some additional documents for our blueprint for reopening our schools. And the goal is by the end of this week, trustees, we'll actually have a guide, a blueprint guide that we will share with our community. Have it on our website and have accessible to all of our parents at the campus level. So this particular guide is going to have everything from bus procedures to morning arrivals to afternoon departures to what does a school day look like. So what I'd like to do is just show you a quick little sample of what that looks like. And then I also want to show you a couple of other instruments that our team has put together in communication with our staff, as well as that will be used for our community. Now, we do have a one-pager that we've also taken from this guide because the guide's about, I want to say roughly about 30 pages. There is a one-pager that has everything summarized on it that I think would be very useful as well. That helps on your talking points with the community as well as for our parents. Can everyone see this document?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so trustees, I'm just going to briefly go through it, but just to give you a sense of what it looks like. So this is a blueprint for reopening schools, and again, it is going to be a guide that we're going to reference. If you'll notice, there will be a table of contents, and it'll have every section, such as physical environment, social distancing practices, even if at the very top, of course, curriculum and instruction, personal preventative practices that we have, not only processes that we have in place here in Robson ISD, but that's definitely recommended from the state. We'll be using quite a bit of the state's documents. What virtual learning means, what it looks like and feels like in the classroom setting. Grading practices, addressing the needs of our special ed children, gifted and talented, all kinds of other areas, counseling services. So this particular, like I said, guide or manual will be available to all online as well as at the campus level. But again, trustees, it's something that will be accessible for your review as well. So this will have all the explanation. Our goal is to get this completed by the end of the week and ready to go and post it for our community.
All right.
I also wanted to show you another document along the same lines. Can you see this document?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This document was taken from feedback. We had an opportunity to meet with every single school and department within our, every single school within our school district, and then opened up to just a various level of departments, anyone who would like to participating in a Zoom conference. We took some feedback. One of the things, though, is that, like I mentioned before in the previous board meeting, we understand and we realize that our teachers and staff feel a certain level of anxiety in coming back. Like I've told our central staff, we've had a chance to really get used to things and transition throughout the spring and summer because we've been here most of the time. But our teachers just coming in are where we were in the spring when they first left. So based on some of their feedback, this is a transition timeline that we established for them that I feel they greatly appreciated. But this gives you a sense of what they would be doing and coming in slowly but surely. If you'll notice on August the 31st through September 9th, actually August 24th through August 28th, at that point they'd have the choice again for remote instruction, teaching from home, but also at least once that week coming in. The following week, they can teach from home, which is their choice, but then the requirements to come in at least twice a week that week to come in so they can start adjusting, because our goal is by the time our kids come back to the classroom is that the teacher is well informed, he or she is well prepared, and they're already adjusting and utilizing their resources at the campus level. And you'll notice September 8th through the 11th, that's when all the staff would be required to come in completely for remote instruction from their classrooms. There is going to be, and I mentioned before, two types of instruction that would occur, which is called synchronous. Synchronous meaning live instruction. So some of our teachers at different times of the day will be presenting live instruction. So kids would have a device at their home. And again, this is at certain grade levels on up, a little bit higher, of course. Devices where they'll be able to monitor and the lessons actually in live and be able to ask questions live. If you'll notice on September the 14th, that is our first week officially that students can come back to school at this point. Our latest survey, which is our commitment form, does indicate that we have about roughly 80% of students at this point, or families, that are choosing to go with remote instruction. That means that they would be receiving instruction from home, and 20% that would be in our schools. We hope that throughout this next few weeks, little by little, as we start to communicate it more out to our community, that they'll start to build a little bit more confidence in what we're doing to prepare for them. But that's also why it's important to have the guide available and ready for our school community. Just so you know as well, tomorrow morning, I'm actually going to be on the morning show for KIII. And they've had two different school districts so far. They had Ingleside and Calallen. Tomorrow will be Robstown. Of course, I'll be on the morning show from 5 to 7 virtually. And then after that, it'll be CCISD the next day. And then I think that'll close it out on Thursday with Gregory Portland. But that'll be an opportunity for me to also share the protocols and whatever questions they may have. Parents will also have an opportunity to call in there. Trustees, also, if you'll notice on Thursday, August the 6th, again, it's just constant communication out to our community. I will have a virtual town hall meeting. And basically, at that point, it will be using Zoom. Parents, anyone in the community will have an opportunity to come to link in. And I'll have a short presentation, also talk to them about the initiatives that we have going on. And at that point, they'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. We will have some pre-questions that we'd be requesting from them as well. That way we can inform them as much as possible. So that'll be one, and I'd like to get another one definitely done maybe about 2 weeks before kids actually come back to school. And hopefully, again, continue building that confidence as parents start to make a decision of what they're going to do. So trustees, just expect that we'll have that guide done by the end of the week. And these are just a couple of other areas. So let me just show you that one-page protocol that I shared with you earlier, because this is a great tool for you to have in your possession as you are talking to community members. Oh, wrong one.
Dr. Moreno, while you're looking for that, can we get a copy of that one that has all the different colors?
Yes, ma'am. Not a problem. I'll get you each of these sent to you via email.
Okay, thank you.
Can y'all see this one?
Uh-huh.
So this is, again, it obviously won't have every single content area of the guide that we're putting together, but this will give you a sense, an overview of different focus areas where, like, for example, students and staff safety, those are general safety items that we'll be using and following, which again are mentioned within the guide, but in the guide, of course, will have much more detail. What the physical environments are going to have, social distancing requirements that we will have. Now, trustees, as we continue to progress, right now with 80% saying that they're going to be online and through remote instruction and only about 20% in person or at the campus beginning on September the 14th, obviously we're going to have the space that we're going to need in the classrooms. But let's just pretend that in our hopes that by October, let's just say that we start to have more of our families that start to feel more confident, start sending their children to our schools, then our goal right now would be that we have roughly about 12 to 15 kids per class, so we can space them out appropriately. But once school gets started and moving, we have to open school. So basically, the social distancing as far as desks are concerned, as we'll try to keep it as much as possible, but depending on how many kids we have, we'll have to continue moving forward. And then, of course, the screening for COVID at the very end. These are standardized practices that we're going to have. We still need to make some adjustments on this particular form, but this is what I'm talking about, having a one-pager. If this is something you get familiar with, you'll be able to answer a lot more questions for community members as they ask you. So we'll definitely make this available to all of you trustees to have. All right.
Sir.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you. We go to item number 6, instruction item, action item, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, trustees, and I'm going to preface it with this. Although I set it up as a action item, is to discuss and consider approval to submit a waiver request to TEA to extend the start of the 2020-2021 school year transition beyond the 4-week limit. The reason I wanted to put it on there is just for us to discuss further. Now, you as trustees can always make that decision. And of course, that is something that you could tell me. My recommendation is let's go ahead and wait a couple of more weeks. Let's see how things are moving along, because remember, right now we've already extended. We're using the states, what they allowed us to have 4 weeks. So we are starting August the 19th virtually. Kids would not start face-to-face. Remember, that's parent choice. They get to make that choice, whether continue remotely or come in person to our schools. That now is not going to be till September the 14th because all of you approved our calendar change. We greatly appreciate that, and I think our staff really appreciated that extra week and a half as well. So as we get closer, trustees, this is what could happen. We may say, you know what, if the numbers are still way too high, we want to take advantage of the additional up to 4 weeks. Know that you'll have the right as a board of trustees now to extend that extra 4 weeks. So that would put us roughly at October the 12th, where we wouldn't start face-to-face instruction at that point. So know that you have that in your pocket. Know that as trustees, you definitely have are empowered to make that decision. But I wanted to put it on there just so you see what it is. In the package, you also see the waiver that we would apply for with the state, and just to notify them that you have chosen to make that extension until roughly October the 12th. So again, my recommendation is just for discussion right now, but of course you can always make that decision tonight if that's what you choose. But I would suggest that we wait a couple more weeks. Let's see how things are going, because we already have it until the 14th of September from what the state said. And then we can determine at that point, a week or two prior, if we wanted to continue moving forward for the extension of another 4 weeks.
Dr. Moreno, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it most probable, wouldn't it be your recommendation for us to come back later and extend it to 4 weeks? It's not just us wanting to do it. It's more like your recommendation for us to do it.
Yes, ma'am. I would definitely want to I'm glad that we have this now, because remember, we didn't have it before. So
Okay.
That was one of the accommodations that the state made. my recommendation is, again, for discussion purposes tonight, to show you everything that, but I also want to stress that you have that right as a Board of Trustees. I would like to evaluate, see where we are at that point as we're getting a little bit closer to that window of time, just because everything I've heard is that the peak is not going to happen until about mid-August. And if that's the case, then obviously we know we have that in our pocket. Now, this has come up quite a bit around the state of Texas. What if there's a community such right now, because Nueces County is #1 in the nation per capita. #1 in the nation per capita. Okay, so that means in a smaller confined area, we have more cases within that. And that's something that we need to keep our eye on completely. So one thing that we have learned through the governor as well as through our commissioner is that after the 8 weeks, let's just say that we use this first 4 weeks. And then as a trustee, you say, you know what, let's get that additional 4 weeks. And let's pretend that the numbers are still super high and we just do not feel comfortable. I did read, and it looks like they've actually tried to push out that messaging because there were districts pushing back quite a bit, is that they'll take it case by case to be able to possibly get some additional extension time. Okay, so just know that that's always a possibility. And obviously, as a superintendent, and of course you as a board of trustees, we will definitely advocate for that if it comes to that point.
Okay.
Okay.
Dr. Moreno, have our teachers gone back to school already?
On that transition plan, it's open. So remember, right now it's totally voluntary for them to come in. We opened up a week early just that they want to start setting up their classrooms. Now our brand new teachers or new employees start this Thursday. So we start virtual professional development Thursday and Friday. And our teachers start virtual professional development starting on Monday of next week. Now, again, we did give them that opportunity to have that training from home because it's all going to be virtual. But of course, open in our classrooms, of course, if they want to come start working in their classroom as they go through the training. So it's completely up to them. But I will show that transition plan so you get to see their schedules coming in.
Okay, so like our current teachers, not new teachers, they're given a choice to either teach in the classroom or at home, right?
Correct, up to a certain time period.
September 11th?
Around that, no, ma'am. Yes, without going back to that particular document. Oh, here it is.
September 14th.
Yes, September 14th is completely. That's now in person, where we'll have in-person kids in the schools and virtually. But our teachers would be able to start with the requirement of 1 day that week is August 24th through the 28th. And then August 31st through the September the 9th, they are required to be at least in the classroom 2 days for that week. And then when we get to September the 8th through September 11th, then we're requiring that they come in the full week. That way they can adjust to having kids in the classroom as well as virtually when they come in on the 14th of September. So this will be a good document for y'all to have for your review as well. I'll definitely get it to you.
Okay, so when school starts, I'm speaking as a parent and a board member. I'm very nervous about this because no one will be in school, none of the students. So are we going to be given like a what to do that morning? Because last year, like for example, for junior high, everything was different. They didn't have Google Classroom. High school, everything was in Google Classroom, but for junior high, it was just texting or whatever means the teacher came up with last minute. I understand that. But this year, are we going to get something like maybe via mail or email or phone call as far as an instruction on what to do that first day of school?
Definitely. So one thing that compared to the spring, because remember the spring, everybody reacted, although the reaction came a fast plan that came into play. So everyone district-wide is going to be Google Classroom, #1. Okay, so that is going to be our main platform.
Awesome. Okay.
Platform. Now, there is something that we're looking at for pre-K to first grade called Seesaw, just because it's more student-friendly for that age group. But at this point, we haven't made a final decision if that's something that we will move forward with just yet. But we are going to be taking some feedback and just kind of review. Again, that's just more age appropriate. But for sure, second grade to 12th grade will be completely Google Classroom. Rachel, who's our new instructional technology specialist, she's amazing. She's been doing fantastic professional development already. She's already trained all of our administrators just to know what to look for. We already have the training that we're going to be setting up for our teachers starting the following week. So everyone will be on the same page, same language, same process. It's just going to be at different levels, obviously, different levels of
Okay.
work.
Okay, so
Now-
like school starts on Monday, correct? It starts on Monday?
Monday for teachers is for professional development.
Okay, so when, on the first day of school, when are we gonna get this documentation? We're not gonna get it like one day before, right? I'm
No.
hoping, because
No.
not everybody's computer literate, you know,
Yes.
and I just want to make sure everybody has time. I don't
Yes,
want
ma'am.
everybody to be freaking out and calling all of us, because I don't blame you for doing that.
Let me have Lorena speak on our professional development a little bit more. That way we can look at some
Okay.
time for parent communication.
Okay,
Absolutely, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Moreno. Yes, absolutely. Those are very good questions, Ms. Flores. They're very valid. I know in the spring we had a response to a crisis, right? We shut down. It was from one day to the next. Moving forward, we know that we'll be beginning our school year remotely with remote instruction. So the plan is that teachers get as much professional development in the manner in which they're going to deliver the instruction as possible. So we have designated days within our staff development week where we will have teachers get trained on Google Classroom. Again, the high school went fully Google Classroom last spring, and then some teachers at the junior high. So we had some pods of teachers doing Google Classroom and those sorts of things. But moving forward, everybody will get the same training. And they will get time, they will have time within the staff development schedule to create the Google Classroom accounts, the Google Classroom codes, to invite students onto the classes, and then students will be getting their codes through email, because teachers will be adding students instead of having students add themselves like we did in the past. This time, Rachel, of course, knowing all the ins and outs of Google Classroom, has explained to us that it is a different control when you're added into the Google Classroom versus asking students to add themselves on. That's huge. That's huge, because what we did in the spring was a response to a crisis. Moving forward, our instruction that we're planning and that we're planning on delivering, whether it's face-to-face or remotely, has to look like a regular instructional day that we would run, whether as if we were face-to-face every day. So our instructional schedules that we're developing with the campus leadership team, they look like a regular full day of schedule from 8 in the morning till 3:40 in the afternoon, or whatever the dismissal time is. There's the schedules have been developed always with that mindset that we're providing a full day of instructional lessons and instructional activities for students. So the staff development week has been planned around, again, the technology support that teachers need, the time they need to create these Google Classroom accounts and invite students onto their classes, and as well as time to plan their lessons that they're going to upload into the Google Classrooms. And then we also have a piece where there's a parent training, a parent informational training. So we will be developing that with the help of the parental involvement department, as well as empowering the teachers that, as part of their Meet the Teacher afternoon or Meet the Teacher time, that they're also informing parents and their students as to how to log on to the Google Classroom, how to log on to their accounts. And of course, that particular piece, the parent training, is not a one-time thing. As part of our asynchronous plan that we have to submit to TEA, there has to be an embedded piece of trainings for parents throughout the school year. So we have to have we have to have pre-planned trainings for parents. So we'll begin, that particular piece of the asynchronous plan before the school year begins, as well as throughout the semester, to continue to support parents and support the community as far as what, the pieces that we're doing online. Of course, for students that are coming face to face, it's a normal setting. But some of these pieces, some of these training pieces for the asynchronous plan is for those students that are opting to stay home, and that we're providing that support for them to be able to log on and access those lessons as if they were face to face.
Thank you, Ms. Ceballos. And one thing, Ms. Garza, that we are going to do, or I'm going to request from the principals, is again, I'm going to do the virtual town hall, of course, for our school community. I am going to request that every principal also have a virtual type of town hall for their parents to be able, so they can explain their plan, but also parents be able to ask questions. The main thing here, the goal is to build the confidence in our community, build the confidence in our parents, little by little. We're going to do whatever we can possible to make sure that our kids are safe as they come in, as well as our staff. But it is going to be a transition, and that's why we're trying to give a little bit of flexibility. And as we build that trust, we hope to have more children in our schools, because that's always going to be the best, no matter what, to have a teacher working with our children day to day. But we also understand it's going to be a baby step and a step at a time.
And you know what, sir? I know that there's already a lot going on, and I'm sorry, but I do want to challenge you with something.
Yes, ma'am.
There's, for our senior class coming in this year, if maybe we could do something special for them on Facebook and social media, because they're not going to have a first day of school. And as a mother, I think that that's very special. So if anything can happen for our incoming seniors, I would really appreciate that. Just something, maybe a group photo or just a slideshow, something. I would just like to honor them in some way, because it's going to be a tough year for them. It really is. And
It's a good idea.
just something, sir. If it's, I would like to challenge you with that.
Sure. Thank you.
On top of everything else going on.
I
I'm
was just
sorry.
gonna
but-
say that.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So trustees, again, it is an action item, but again, if we leave it as a discussion item, I just wanted to make sure that you were well informed of your rights as a board of trustees. It'll just be my recommendation. We wait a couple of weeks. Let's keep it in our pocket, and then we go from there. But know that you can always have the right to do that.
Okay, this recommendation for staff that we consider a 2 week, you said?
Yeah, maybe revisit this in the next couple of weeks to see where we are as far as the local number of cases.
So we
And
can
then at
table-
another board meeting, we can bring it back.
We
So
can
it's just
table
for
the
discussion.
item,
Yes, sir. Table it.
table
Yes.
the item.
Okay, this time I'd like to take a motion that we table this item. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Move by Mr. Lopez, there a second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Garza. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous. We go to the next item, sir. Action item, sir.
Trustees, I just wanted to make sure that I got you some of the latest information as far as the University Interscholastic League, so basically the UIL. And one of the things, although we all advocated as superintendents in the different regions, the UIL did mark today, August 3rd, as the first day for any 1A through 4A school districts to begin their basically it's their two-a-days, beginning their practice as far as strength and conditioning as a whole today. And then all 5 and 6As don't start until September 8th. That was the biggest bother that we had, I think, as superintendents that were 1 to 4A. Now, we understand too that the number of cases is going to depend on certain communities, and normally a 1 through a 4A school district tends to be rural. But although we're considered rural, we're really not. I mean, we're right off a major highway. We're right next to Cat Island, who's considered to be part of Corpus Christi. So, I feel that we are in the same boat as any of them. But at this point, what we have done is, again, be proactive regardless. And I don't know if you've had a chance, and if not, I'd encourage you to check out the video that our athletic department put together. It's on social media, and just check to see it again as a way to build some confidence with our families. The protocols. I went out this morning to observe the morning as well as the afternoon to ensure again that the procedures are being followed. And I'll continue doing some spot checking just to make sure that we're providing everything needed as our kids start coming back. But again, that's what we have now. The one thing that is still on the table that we'll continue to look at is when games begin. I know that for football, there's already been a bump about a week's time for one of the games, so that you have in your packet a sample of what that schedule looks like. They're still discussing as far as what's called zones They may be shifting some of the games just depending on the needs of the school districts. Now, volleyball is a different story. Volleyball starts probably within the next 2.5 weeks. Volleyball, although definitely is not as much of a contact sport, but there is contact. So again, same thing with our young ladies and our coaches. I can tell you this, the coaches are very excited and committed to making sure they do what they need to do for our students. And I can tell you right now from our kids' faces that we're very excited before they start really working out this morning. Very excited to be back and getting involved. But at the same time, knowing that we're here to support them and making sure we need to do what we can. So the visual video that they put together is just another way for our families to see what the protocols will be as we start moving forward. Let me see. Band, I've already been in communication with Mr. Cabrera as well. Mr. Cabrera has been working virtually with the band students, and he's just presented with a plan. Today I'll be reviewing that with the hopes of possibly beginning by next week, if not the following week after that. Now, competition for band is much later. Dr. Ceballos, isn't it like in November?
Yes, sir. How are y'all doing? Board of Trustees, Chairman of the board. Yes, they made a change as far as the band contest and moved it later. It's normally in the mid-October, and it was moved to latter part of November, and even state competition, I believe, goes all the way to December.
So with that said, trustees, we have a little bit more flexibility in what we're doing with our fine arts program and our band students. But I'll tell you right now, they've already been up and going virtually. And so they're excited about that part as well. So I'll give you an update as soon as, actually by next week's board meeting, I'll give you an update where we are with our band and their plan of action.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Bueno, do we have any kind of outline or game plan for football games? Is that going to go on? Is it not going to go on?
What you have in your packet, it does have the football games and the schedules that are there. You'll notice the first two have already been canceled, rescheduled. I think the very first one would be with London, and London's already been bumped another week as well. So we're going to keep, close tabs on what it's looking like. And of course, what happens in this, trustees, is that I meet with the districts that we play and we work with. That's why, as Superintendent Stephen, 2 weeks ago, we're meeting discussing all of these areas depending on where we are, where our counties are, and who we play. So those are conversations we'll have quite a bit across the board to determine any type of game cancellations or anything else.
What about junior high sports? Is junior high sports continuing?
Junior high sports will continue, but right now the main priority is going to be varsity, and then junior high, JV, as well as junior high will all start coming in. But right now we're going to get what we're getting going with the varsity first.
Okay.
All right, sir.
Oscar, just to let you know, I'm here. I've been listening.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I had technical difficulties. I'm sorry. My computer froze. I had to go to my iPad.
Okay.
All right.
For the record, Berta Roldan is now present. And my condolences to you and your family.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now, your recommendation, sir?
Again, this was just a discussion item, sir, for
Okay.
the UIL.
All right. We go to item number 7, the business and support is the next item, sir?
Yes, sir. At this point, what I'm asking to discuss and consider approval of Operation Connectivity Interlocal Acquisition Agreement. Basically, trustees, this was the initiative that TEA was putting together to help support school districts across the state with their connectivity concerns, as well as, just helping us out with the devices needed to be able to sustain a viable program for a remote learning program for our kids. I can tell you that I'm pleased to say right now that there's a 50% match from the state. So that means all the Chromebooks that we ordered, as well as the additional number of hotspots that we ordered, they're meeting us 50% of that. Now, here's what's going on the other side. And this isn't final yet, but I do feel that there's a positive chance we're going to get some good support on this. Now, remember, the state also, through the CARES Act, gave funding to our all basically counties and cities across the state. Well, we've been in close communication with our county, and I'm also going to be communicating with our mayor here in Robstown as well. But the county they've already called me twice, said, what do y'all need? What is it that you're looking at devices? Today, I presented to them about the matching amount. So the match would be about 188,000 that we would be responsible for, roughly. They said, okay, just break it down after you talk to the city, and then that might be an opportunity for them to, actually, where as a district, there's a good chance we might not have to pay anything for all the computers and hotspots that we ordered. But until I see it on paper, then that's when I'll be
Yes.
excited and really truly believe it. But at this point, knowing that we have 50% of the support from the state and a strong possibility that we'd get the other percentage, other half, or maybe up almost a half, that would be great. So just know that I think we're heading in a positive direction on this, because remember, all the counties and cities received relief funds because of COVID relief funds, which goes into what's called the CARES Act. And so this is their way of contributing, helping out our school districts across the state. Okay, well, at least I know here in Nueces County, the support. So
There we go.
I'll keep you on top of that. So today, though, I do, and again, this was in your packet, I am requesting that you consider approval of the Operation Connectivity Interlocal Acquisition Agreement with the state TEA.
The recommendation from staff that we approve the Operation Connectivity Interlocal Acquisition Agreement with the state. Do I
Yes,
have a motion?
I'll
So
move.
moved.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Garza. Any questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Unanimous? We go to item number 8, closed session, sir. We'd like to have a motion to go into executive session under code 551.074. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Orona. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Unanimous. This time it is 5:41. We're going to executive session. motion that we reconvene from executive session?
I'll
Do I
move.
have a motion?
I'll
Moved by
move.
Mr. Lopez. Do I have a second?
I'll
A
second.
second.
Second by Ms. Roldan. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous. We go to item 9, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So at this point, trustees, I'm requesting that you take action regarding the approval of resignations, appointments, and terminations as discussed in executive session.
It's recommendation from staff that we approve the resignations, appointments, and terminations as discussed in executive session. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moving Mr. Lopez. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Roldan. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. We go to item 10, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Lopez. A second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Corona. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Be well. Take care. God bless.
Good job,
Meeting
trustees.
adjourned.
Later.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.